Chapter 1. Okay. Welcome, my beauties. Today, we are co-reading with... what's your name?
Zeus McDaniels.
Alright, that guy. And me, the captain.
Yes.
Right? Is that how it works?
Yes.
Okay, good. So today we're going to be reading Silent Ponyville, which is not so silent, but still silent enough. So...
Yeah, it would be bad if we were silent this entire reading.
That actually sounds like a pretty good idea. I can go back to sleep. Alright.
But
you ready?
I've never seen the game that this is crossed over from. I'm guessing Silent Hill is the game.
Yeah, and then there's also The Hills Have Eyes, which is really scary.
Okay.
I don't like scary movies. Okay, enough talking. We gotta get into this. So, here's how it's gonna work. I'm going to read every other paragraph, and he's going to read every in-between paragraph.
Perfect way to say it.
Alright. Okay. Pinkie Pie's eyes shot open. Her face was buried in her wet pillow, stained from her tears. She quivered as she very gently tried to lift herself up from the bed. She was afraid of seeing her bed soaked, covered in blood, evidence of a horrific deed she had committed. But her bed was dry, save for her tears.
She gently placed a hoof to her face, feeling the still fresh tears on her cheek. She shivered as her hair moved to cover her eyes, still in shock at the sight she had seen.
How could I? The vivid images of the nightmare she had just slept through came back in her mind. Horrific cries rang vividly in her ears, her coat soaked with blood. The feel of slicing open another living being. It felt so real. Pinkie Pie shook her head viciously, trying to remove these thoughts from her head.
Why am I having these dreams? She rammed her hooves into her head, trying to stop the images that were assaulting her. For the past 2 weeks she had been having restless nights of sleep. She was having nightmares every night. The severity of what they showed were getting worse and worse with each one.
The first dream hadn't been too scary, of course. She was just attacked by a monster. She had shrugged it off easily, and it wasn't too different from any normal day, really. From there, the monster changed. One night, she was attacked by the Pony of Death, who wanted her soul for damnation. Another night, it was a faceless, slender pony, whose presence quaked her very being. The next night, she suffered from a disease of starvation as her body had begun to rot, but was denied death from the pain.
She could not handle those dreams. They weren't real after all. A good party with her friends made all those scary thoughts go away. She tried changing her diet for a day to see if the bad dreams would go away, and it worked for a night, but only for a night. The next night she had dreamt of being a monster, one with sharp teeth and claws. She was the monster, and she had attacked and eaten herself. She still remembered the gagging taste the dream had left in her mouth.
Wimp. The next dream had her terrorizing ponies throughout Ponyville. She'd wrecked homes, crops, products, and lives. Then, the next night, she attacked each of her friends. Gasp! She could feel the berserk rage of the monster as it had slashed and tore them apart indiscriminately. But at least it was a quick death. Her friends didn't suffer in that dream.
But the dream last night was different. It was personal. She was a monster again last night, but it was different. She was just herself. No fangs, no claws, no berserk rage, but a monster. In the dream, she had captured her friend, her dearest friend Rainbow Dash. She had taken sharp objects and... cupcakes!
Okay. Pinkie dashed into her room before emptying the contents of her stomach into the toilet, as the vivid images of what she'd done in her dream flashed before her once more. She felt wretched now. Could her mind have come anywhere close to thinking such horrible, horrific things? She loved her friends. She loved them even more anywhere than close to thinking of more than the sun, than her sweets, than her parties, than life itself. Especially Rainbow Dash. Rainbow Dash was the coolest thing ever. Oh my gosh, most awesome, fun-loving pony she'd ever met. Holy cow. If she wanted to just hang out and have fun, or pull some pranks, or share some sweets, or help throw a great party, it was Rainbow Dash who was there for her.
She wiped her mouth as she groggily looked at herself in the mirror. Her mane was straight. Her eyes were bloodshot with bags under them. Her coat was dull with a sickly look, and she was breathing quite heavily. She looked terrible.
Gee, somebody needs a shower. She ran some cold water and repeatedly splashed her face with it. She really, really, really wanted to go see Rainbow Dash. She had to know she was okay, but at the same time she couldn't do it until the memories of that dream had faded some more, and she had to get out of Sugar Cube Corner for the day. She wouldn't be able to hold back any more of her stomach if she even smelled a cupcake.
Pinkie tried to stay in the shadows of the buildings as she quietly walked through Ponyville. Fresh air and warm sun weren't any comfort today. She didn't want to look at any pony either, worried their faces would trigger another flash of the awful images in her mind. She had nowhere in mind to go. She just had to wander, had to get away from Sugar Cube Corner, from her room, from anything that would remind her.
Wimp. She looked up and around. She had lost track of how much time had passed since she started her little trek. Thankful no one had stopped to ask her why she was acting so differently today. She knew the other ponies had started to notice dips in her cheeriness. Ever since the dreams, she'd been throwing more parties than ever before, but more and more they weren't enough. Twilight had even asked if something was the matter, and she'd done her best to reassure her friend.
Wait, Twilight!
Jeez.
Shortest paragraph ever!
Twilight was the great magical pony of all worlds and stuff, now an alicorn. If any pony could figure out a way to stop these dreams, she did. She winced at the idea of having to tell Twilight all about the horrific things that her mind had imagined about her and her friends, but maybe, just maybe, she wouldn't have to. Twilight might find a solution without having to know what the dreams were of.
I know a solution for it.
What?
Bullet through the skull.
Oh, rat.
She picked up her pace, running straight for the library. It didn't take her long. She figured her body must have been taking her here by instinct. It did have a funny way of working that way. She ran to the door and knocked a little frantically. It didn't take long for the door to creak open.
Oh, what's up, my brother Pinkie? Twilight said, surprised but happy to see her friend. Is this an invitation to a party again? Twilight stopped as she blinked, noticing the distressed look of her friend. Bro, you alright? You don't look so good.
No, I'm not good, Twilight. Can I come in? Pinkie said, minding her manners for once.
Course, my brother. Please, make yourself at home, Twilight said, quickly offering her friend hospitality.
Thank you, Pinkie said as she quietly trotted into the house. She quickly headed for the table in the center of the room, and sitting on one of the red velvet pillows before it, she rested her head on the table, closing her eyes as she took a soft sigh to try and relax, remembering her friend's favorite hot beverage.
Can I get you something to drink? Perhaps some hot chocolate? Twilight said.
No sweets, please. If you have some coffee, that would be great. No cream or sugar. Pinkie softly groaned.
Man. No sweets? Twilight said in shock. Oh my, this is really serious, she said as she quickly prepared her friend the hot drink she requested. She levitated it before Pinkie, who groggily took it and began to drink. She grimaced at the bitter taste.
Pinkie, what's the matter? You can tell me, Twilight said, sitting down next to her downcast friend. Twilight could see the signs. Her mane was straight, her coat was dull, her eyes bloodshot with bags under them, and most noticeable of all, she wasn't radiating the energetic aura of Pinkie Pie.
Oh, Twilight, it's just awful. Pinkie put her hooves over her head. It's the most awful thing that's ever happened to me. I can't even believe what's happened to me. It's so awful. I can't sleep. I can't rest. Even parties aren't helping. I need relief. I need to stop this, but everything I've tried only seems to make it worse, Pinkie said, her voice now quivering. Twilight couldn't help but be surprised at how terrified her friend sounded.
Pinkie, tell me, what exactly is this awful thing that has happened? Twilight tried to reassure Pinkie that everything would be all right. Pinkie took a big breath, steeling her nerves.
I've been having nightmares, Twilight, Pinkie finally said. Awful, horrible, relentless nightmares. I was throwing more parties to forget about them, but they just keep coming. I tried to change my diet. I tried relaxing before bed. I tried falling asleep in a handstand with a lemon in my mouth while in the shower. Nothing works. And last night's nightmare was the worst of them all.
Wow, that's an interesting sleeping position.
Yes, glad so.
Nightmares? Twilight said, tapping her chin for a moment. 1 second, she said, as she got up and quickly ran over to a bookshelf. She began to pull out books, checking them out, scanning them one by one. No, not you. You're not right either. It took about 10 minutes before Twilight finally pulled a book and looked at it, satisfied. Aha! She said as she trotted back to the table, opening the book, flipping through the pages quickly.
Nightmares, Twilight began, after having stopped on a specific page. A dream of strong negative emotions, a common occurrence that most ponies will experience. However, if the nightmare should persist or become more terrifying with each episode, it could be of several reasons. External forces such as medication or diet, which we've already ruled out, Twilight added, and external stress from recent physical or mental events, or caused by a psychological event from any time during the pony's life that has left a deep impact. There are several ways to determine what kind of nightmare is being experienced and what the best manner of treating them are, Twilight said before silently reading the next part.
So, that book can help me stop the nightmares? Pinkie asked, hope rising in her heart.
Looks that way. Of course, can't stop you from having nightmares for the rest of your life, though. There are a normal part of sleep. But it can help you with the constant nightmare issue, she said, still reading. There's a spell in here that'll let me look into your mind and see the memories of your dreams. That way I can see what you've been dreaming about and apply the proper spell to try and help.
Well, a permanent solution is the bullet through the skull.
Yay!
The hope that had risen inside of Pinkie fell into her gut like a boulder into a lake.
But I thought boulders fell into lakes. No. No, Twilight, Pinkie said, shaking her friend furiously. You can't see it. My dreams, they're there. Pinkie covered her face with her hooves. They're too horrible. Twilight, I don't want any pony to see what I've seen. Her voice was trembling. Tears were threatening to leave her eyes once more.
She looked up when she felt Twilight's hoof placed against her shoulder, the look of concern on her face.
I can't imagine what kind of dreams you've been having, Pinkie, but I can see the pain on your face. It's right there. It's affecting who you are, and I can't just let this go. You came to me for help, and I'm going to help you. Please, You have to let me see what you've seen so that I can help." Twilight pleaded to her friend. Pinkie lowered her head as she held back the tears burning at her eyes with all her might, swallowing hard as she knew her friend wanted to make everything better and might have the power to do so.
"Twilight," Pinkie muttered in a hushed breath, holding back a sob.
"Yes. What is it, Pinkie?" Twilight asked in a similar hushed voice.
"Please, you have to promise me that what you're about to see won't change your opinion of me." Pinkie sniffed deeply.
"I swear, Pinkie. I won't think of you as anything but the dear friend I know and love," Twilight said. Pinkie saw her smile. It was so reassuring, so comforting.
"Pinkie Pie swear?" Pinkie asked one last time. Twilight just seemed to smile a little amused.
"Cross my heart, hope to fly, stick a cupcake in my eye, yeah!" Twilight
Ow!
did the motion of Pinkie Pie's swear, mimicking sticking the pastry into her face. America. Pinkie took a moment to let it sink in, then squeezed her eyes shut and lowered her head a little.
"All right, I trust you, Twilight," Pinkie Pie softly muttered, as she did her best to prepare for whatever was going to happen next.
Twilight nodded softly, as she remembered the spell from the book, her horn glowing with light as she concentrated on it. She gently swept hair covering Pinkie's forehead behind her ears to hold it, then gently tapped the tip of her horn against Pinkie's skull.
"Leave me alone." The slender pony approached regardless. The static screeched at her as it drew closer. Pain shocked her body from one side to the other, as blood seemed to splatter and cloud her vision, turning the world red. She fell to her knees, trying to grasp reality before the pain and sound became too much to bear.
There was a hole in her body.
Spelled like the animal.
Bleh.
Spelled like the animal. Bear.
Whoa.
Roar.
Whoa. Rawr. There was a hole in her body. She could feel the worms wriggling in it, crawling into her torso. They were eating her alive. The pain clawed into her very soul, but yet death would not come. Her body lay there, unflinching as the insects made their way, feeling every wriggling slime of their body as they slid under her skin.
Bones crunched in her teeth as blood dripped down her chin. The fresh taste of gooey flesh slid down her throat. Sharp teeth bore down again into the side of an earth pony's neck as the pony's head fell from her body, giving her a good chunk of flesh to chew. The taste was revolting, but she craved it. She had to have it. She had to have more. Her teeth dug into the pony's skull, crushing the skull as the inner organs began to dribble into her mouth. She had to have more. This one would never be enough.
Your local supermarket, now selling skulls and inner organs. The screams had died down for now, but that wouldn't last for long.
Why are you doing this? It was the pained and frantic cry of Rainbow Dash. She could see her tied down to a table, wings already sawn off by her own hooves.
Oh, Rainbow Dash, every pony dies sometime. Her voice betrayed her as she pulled out the scalpel. It's a simple concept, really. You just have to think, did my life mean anything? Did I die with a purpose? Will my memory be left when I'm gone? All are important questions, you see. She walked towards Rainbow Dash. She could feel the murderous intent grasping at every fiber of her being.
ING. It's missing from mean. Or is extra, I should say. But But Rainbow Dash hiccuped through the pain and tears. I won't have died for a good purpose if you kill me, Rainbow sobbed. How could you do this to me?
Simple. She raised her hoof and petted Rainbow Dash's face. Well, she leaned in closer to her. There was an attraction she could never describe as having felt before. Yes, her breath was hot and her body betrayed her mind. Oh, Rainbow Dash, if you don't know the reason by now, you'll never understand. This is just how things have to be. She stepped back from her prisoner.
Rainbow Dash only looked confused, but she would rectify that look. She grabbed her scalpel and placed it at the base of Rainbow's hip and sliced down her leg. Pain overtook Rainbow's face and voice as she began her delicate slicing operation. After all, she had to prepare the ingredients to be just right.
I have a feeling this isn't dwindling with another fanfiction, but I don't know which one.
Yeah.
Do you know?
It might involve sweets of some sort.
You guys should tell
You know,
in the comments.
maybe sprinkles or something.
Oh well. Twilight stumbled back, her head kicked back instinctively, wanting to escape from the horrors inside of Pinkie's mind. Twilight crashed into the bookcase, causing a cascade of book knowledge and stuff to fall onto her. She was breathing heavily, frantic and panicking. The spell had only taken a few seconds to complete, but the rush of all the dream memories flooded her at once. Somebody's on Skype messaging me. I hope they die.
Good to know. Those dreams were horrific and so real. She had felt everything in those dreams, even though dreams should not normally contain such vivid feelings. The monster that attacked her, the feel of bugs crawling all throughout her skin and organs, the gagging taste of flesh in her throat, the torture, the act she had committed. She wanted to vomit.
Lucid dreams, baby. Twilight. Came a scared, timid, almost hushed voice.
Twilight snapped from her thoughts and looked up at her pink friend. She was trembling with fear as tears streamed down her eyes. That was right. These were the dreams Pinkie was having, the dreams that were terrifying her, the dreams that had come to her for help with.
Psh, my dreams are worse. Pinkie. Twilight finally muttered.
I'm laughing while I'm doing it.
Swallowing back her own emotions and stomach contents. Like yesterday's brunch. I had no idea, she said shakily, getting to her feet and slowly walking back to her friend. She had to be strong right now.
Twilight, ellipsis. Pinkie sniffed through her sobs. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry you saw them. She closed her eyes, gasping for air through her sobs. Twilight quickly moved next to Pinkie, taking her into an embrace to hold her tight. Pinkie cried desperately into Twilight's shoulder. Twilight held her dear friend, making sure she knew she had all of her support. The images may have had made her stomach twist, but her friend was more important than that.
I don't know, man. Stomach twisting is pretty important. It's okay, Pinkie, Twilight said, once Pinkie's sobs had started to calm down. I can see how much these dreams have been eating at you. Like, literally. That Pinkie in those dreams is not you. So, we just have to figure out why you're having them. Twilight said, letting her friend dearly know that she had in fact kept her promise. The Pinkie in her arms was nothing like the Pinkie that had appeared in the dreams. Pinkie slowly nodded her head in agreement before finally being able to stop her tears and let go of Twilight. Twilight turned to her book and flipped a few pages.
Since we know it's not your diet, we need to determine if it's because of recent events or if it's something much deeper in your psyche. So, let's start there. when did the dreams start happening?
I don't know, man. Diets are pretty effective. Well...
Yes, plenty of sweets will cause that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, Pinkie rubbed her face trying to dry it some. The dreams started a few days ago at Grand Galloping Gala. And they've been happening about every night for the last 2 weeks. It didn't happen one night after I changed my diet. But then they just came back the next day. Pinkie said, trying to recall how often she had them.
Well, the gala was a pretty big incident. You certainly seemed fine at the donut shop. But what about after that? I know you said you had some business to attend to before you head back to Ponyville, so we didn't see you again till we were heading to the chariot, Twilight wondered. Well, after I spent time with you guys, I went and met with my sister, Octavia.
Garce!
She was the one...
Plot twist.
Yes.
Keep going.
Plot twist. She was the one playing the cello on stage during the gala. She was the main reason I was able to get away with my music antics while there. I wanted to go thank her for helping me try to liven things up, Pinkie said, recalling the night. She was a little mad at me at first for the mess I caused, but she forgave me, and we ended up having a very fun chat about what we'd both been up to since we'd left the farm. After a little while, it was time for me to go, so we promised we'd keep better in touch.
So, according to my calculations, the single pony closest related to Octavia's looks would be Inkie Pie. However, at the time of when Pinkie left the farm, Inkie Pie was still quite young, making... Well, I don't know.
Making some number of years in which they were both at the farm. Some number of years when they both weren't at the farm.
Yes, unless Octavia left before... No, because we never saw Octavia. I don't know. Confusion. Twilight pondered this. That's my paragraph.
Wait, was it? Oh, right.
Twilight
Sorry.
pondered this. Do you think it was that meeting with your sister that could have started the dreams? Twilight asked, curiously.
I wouldn't understand that if she did, Pinkie said, putting a hoof to her chin, and thought we had fun that night. There wasn't anything that she said that was negative.
Have you gotten a letter from her yet?
I did get one, but it was just letting me know that she was going to be performing a concert in Philadelphia. She said that her band was touring around, so that if I wanted to send her letters, I'd have to address them to her band, since the mail carriers know where they'll be, Pinkie said, tilting her head in thought. Again, there was nothing negative, though.
According to my calculations, there is a 75% chance that the band she is talking about features, or is a band in real life, actually. It is really good. It's a dubstep violinist, and she is very good. She's like, I don't know the band name, though.
Right.
What? Well, okay. Well, what about the last 2 weeks, then? She seemed mostly fine, other than a few instances where you weren't as chipper. Twilight said, remembering Pinkie Pie was a little less hyper than usual the last few days. She certainly could understand why now, though.
No, nothing significant. I've been throwing more parties because of the dreams, but it's just been life as usual in Ponyville, Pinkie said, shaking her head slowly.
I see. Twilight went back to consulting her books, scanning the pages of the book. flipping through some more, looking for what would be the best to handle this.
Here's the question. What is life in Ponyville normally like? Because, every time we see it, some epic event is happening.
Yeah, what happens between those? And how does Twilight get money?
Or maybe that's the normal. Like, normally there's monsters.
Intriguing. Hasbro, here's a challenge. Make an episode with nothing significant.
Although I suppose they have made some with nothing all that significant, like when Rainbow Dash was getting a pet.
I don't know. I've watched every episode over 45 times, and I don't recall that one.
45 whole times, huh?
Probably. Anyways, let's continue.
Here we are. It's another spell. This one is a bit more of a mind delve. Its intention is to find the source of your problems, though. It will let us find out why you're having these dreams, be it a minor or major reason, Twilight said confidently. So, don't worry, Pinkie. I'm going to make sure you'll be all better in no time. She gave her friend a confident smile.
Thank you, Twarkle Sparkle, Pinkie said, giving a soft smile back.
Alright, the book says the spell can be a little disorienting at first, but that you'll get used to it. You ready? Twilight asked. Pinkie gave her a nod. Then here goes nothing.
Or something.
Twilight said. Or something. Or everything.
Yeah.
Or maybe somewhere in between everything and something and nothing.
But is that something nothing that makes everything the nothing that something is nothing?
Or is it everything and nothing at the same time?
Or should we just continue reading?
We should probably just continue reading.
Yes.
Twilight said, taking a deep breath as she concentrated once more, her horn flaring up with light. She lowered it towards Pinkie's forehead once more and gently touched her.
Pinkie's mind did a flip-flop and a flip. And felt like it fell into a hazy fog, but still slightly able to see. She lost track of her surroundings as it felt like she was falling from a very, very far height. The world was spinning around her as she felt like wind was rushing past her. Her stomach was rolling inside of her, and she was inside of this intense feeling. She wondered how long she was going to feel this way when she finally felt the world stabilizing, with a thud that knocked the wind out of her.
She gasped for breath, coughing a bit before feeling the sensation of the ground beneath her. She lifted her head up and shook it lightly before slowly opening her eyes. She was still in the library. That was for sure, but Twilight was missing. Why would she have left her alone in the library?
"Twily!" she called out, but the only thing that came back was a hollow echo. This was bizarre. The library seemed eerily quiet. Even more so than usual when Twilight wasn't around. She looked onto the table, noticing two things on it, a bag and a note. She carefully read the words on the note. "You
must cross the darkness to see the light."
Jeez, be more misleading, will you? Pinkie looked at the piece of paper, and a little confused. Did Twilight write this? No. If she did, what did it mean? Was she supposed to take the bag with her? Twilight must know what she's doing after all. She wouldn't just abandon her here without a good reason.
Yeah, she would.
Yeah, probably.
Pinkie opened the bag, looking to see if there was anything inside of it. Nope, nothing.
Nope. There were two things inside. The first one was obvious what it was. It was a lantern. Inside was oil with a wick. Whoa. There was a knob on the side. She assumed it would turn on the lantern. If she was going to use it, she'd have to make sure not to use up all the oil. She gently placed the lantern back in the bag, then placed the bag on her head.
What if I told you there was no lantern? What's this? She asked, as she pulled out a rectangular device. It had a dial on it and an antenna, but it wasn't an object she was familiar with. It had a face like a picture on it, with a circle on it that had holes. In her mind, it kind of looked like a miniature phonograph, but how would this tiny thing play music?
You see, the thing that's confusing about pony science is that we have projectors in that one episode, but yet we have sophisticated stuff that can measure tornado power. Or wing power.
Yeah.
But no radios, no, none of that.
Well, that just because she isn't sure how it would play music doesn't mean they don't have radios. For example, if she sees it and notices it doesn't have a speaker at all, then she could say, "How does this tiny thing play music?"
But they have whatever. All I know is that they have a very sophisticated stereo system in the last episode of Season 2. And I don't know how they have that.
They never said it was a perfectly fine phonograph. Could be a broken phonograph.
I don't know. Alright. In her hoof, it began to spring to life, playing a soft static sound. Pinkie dropped it, surprised by the sudden sound, and then it broke. No. She stared at it as
Game over.
Game over. You lose. The sound seemed like a bunch of bees being mixed through a DJ table. She poked the door. Somebody's messaging me. She poked the device with her hoof. After a few moments, the buzzing stopped. Pinkie looked confused, but had gut instinct that it must be something important. She placed it back in the bag.
I guess Twilight believed I need this bag. I'll keep to her advice then, Pinkie muttered to herself as she carefully strapped the bag to her back. She gets picked up by the police and arrested for theft.
Game over. You lose.
She then looked around. The library seemed to hold no more clues for the moment, so she decided to step outside. She felt more comfortable now that she had visited Twilight, so maybe she could go visit Rainbow Dash now. Perfect idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you won't find a butcher knife.
Totally. Pinkie said, stopping short a few feet out the door. The thick fog had fallen around Ponyville. It was so thick she couldn't even see the buildings next to the library. She'd have to get close to a building if she wanted to see one. Then she started to shiver as the wind blew by. The temperature had fallen a significant amount.
What's going on? I've never seen this kind of weather in Ponyville before, Pinkie said, confused. Did Rainbow Dash do this? Why would she? Pinkie knew she had to find Rainbow and talk to her now. She quickly began to run off in the direction she knew Rainbow's house to be. She was in full gallop when she suddenly realized she had to come to a stop. She skidded along the ground, stopped along an edge, a few pebbles getting kicked loose and falling in front of her. Wait a second. Isn't Rainbow Dash's house in the sky?
Yeah, but remember Pinkie has a hot air balloon.
Right.
How did she even get that?
As well, she has her little bike thing.
Yeah, the little pedally flying thing when Gilda was there.
Yeah.
Where is Gilda? I don't know. She died. There was a gigantic
Depends on what
chasm.
fanfiction you're using.
No, she died. There was a gigantic chasm that had never been in Ponyville right before her. You sure? It's kind of easy to miss. It cut right down the road to Rainbow's house. In fact, it cut off the entire way outside Ponyville. If you didn't have wings, of course.
Is that like the whole road that leads to a dead end in Ponyville?
Probably.
Did Pinkie just miss it before now?
Yeah, everybody's just missed it. It's like, oh, I just realized that 30 years after this chasm has been here, it's finally there. It's like, oh.
Yeah, makes sense.
We're on the last sentence.
What's going on? She asked, as she stared into what seemed to be a bottomless pit.
It actually had a bottom. Believe it or not. Well.
Maybe it doesn't.
Or does it?
Ooh. Maybe it both has a bottom and doesn't.
What if part of it has a bottom?
Braided bottom.
Yet the part she's looking at doesn't have a bottom.
What if it just loops? You drop in and then you go flying back up. Then you drop back down and fly back up again.
Or what if you can't? Or what if it's just one of those pictures the people paint on the ground in New York? It's like really cool and it looks all 3D like.
Or maybe what if it's like one of those like in Minecraft things where you dig below like the bottom of the map, drop down, never hit anything, and just die.
We should make an entire fan fiction about the possible things of a chasm.
Oh, I'm up for it.
Yeah! Only it'll have to wait till next time. No. Melting.
Yes!
We made it! 4,000 words. Oh, my shoulder hurts. Oh.
Yep. And my butt hurts.
Alright. Go check out Zeus's channel.
Okay.
Because he reads stuff and I read stuff, and together we read stuffs, so.
Yes, the plural of stuffs.
Now we have to go edit this, so. Good night, every pony. Stay cool.
Good night.
Or good day if you're watching this during the day, or good future if you're in the future watching this.
Yep.
Or if you're.
Or as I usually say, good day, goodbye, see ya.
I just say leave now, or because there's nothing else to watch after this.
Or you could say, thou shalt not pass.
Thou shalt not pass. Man, a few minutes ago we should have just said that from now on we're going to rant about stuff.
Yes. Ranting about stuff is always good.
Should we stop the recording now? Because I'm still recording.
I am too.
Alright, on 3 we'll stop. 3, 2, 2.5,
2.5,
1.
2.1, 2.11, 2.111. Wait, that's counting up.